Paul Burmeister, Tim Howard, Danny Higginbotham. They almost had all 3 points, they being Manchester United. Danny, what mistake did they make in the second half?
I think it's been a regular occurrence with them. They don't finish teams off. I think if you look at the 6 wins this season, only 2 of them have been by more than 1 goal. When you look at the teams that are challenging, the great teams over the years in the Premier League, they get that first goal, they go and get the second, they go and get the third. It's as though Manchester United get that first goal and it's like, right, OK, we'll sit back because we're not too sure what to do next. And they allow the opposition back on them. And, you know, the atmosphere was brilliant. You know, it was mentioned during the commentary, but you can just see the faces now. And it's obviously there's huge frustration because that is a game that Manchester United should have won. But I think there's an argument to say they didn't deserve to win it.
Well, I look at both ends of it, Dan, with what you're saying. They don't have that number 9 striker that's hungry for a goal. When you get up in a game, what that striker does, when we talked about Haaland being so selfish and arrogant, which is what you want from your striker, you want a striker at 1-0 to say, I'm going to go and bag a brace or get my goal. And they just don't seem to have that at one end. At the other end, they've kept 1 Premier League clean sheet. That's not good enough. And teams are going to think they can nip one at the end because they know that you're vulnerable. And look, West Ham had a game plan. They didn't have to come out, Paul. They parked the bus, they played on the break, they had 2 banks of 4, really good for a team down near the bottom going to Old Trafford, and they were allowed to do that because it was only 1-0. So long as the game was 0-0 or 1-1, that game plan was perfect, and it proved to be perfect. At the end, all they needed to do was get up the pitch 1 or 2 times, get a corner, and that happens.
And I think you add on to that as well, is that teams, when they play Manchester United, I think a lot of them are probably of the mindset, if they can be in the game going into the last 20, 25 minutes, they can potentially get something from it. I think 3/4 of the goals that Manchester United conceded have been in the second half. So whether it's a case of they start to tire, whether they start to get frustrated, or when they take the lead, it's very difficult for them to like, OK, what we're going to do next. Like when you were part of great Manchester United teams, I played against great Manchester United teams. If you conceded the first goal, it could be very, very quickly 2 or 3-0, and they just don't seem to have that belief where they can take it on.
And yeah, and the other part about it, and I've said this a long time, and this is a tactical thing with Ruben Amorim. He oftentimes will change someone in his back 3 or back 4 in the second half, like a like-for-like change. Not someone who's injured, not someone who's on a yellow card like Kevin. He'll just change someone in the back 4, in the back 3. That's unsettling to teams. And so I'm actually looking at that thinking, maybe there's no wonder they're not keeping clean sheets. There's not a lot of continuity throughout the course of 90 minutes. So
I also think the frustration is, and as I said this to you off air, Cunha and Bumo, Fernandes, you've got players there that are creative, that can make things happen. And for whatever reason, a lot of them, they find themselves in the same vicinity on the pitch, so they then become easier to defend against.
And it's not I mean, there are missed opportunities every weekend. However, this one is different because they had a chance to move past 4 teams. You usually move past 1 or 2 if you win. They could have gone all the way to 5th. So that sense of urgency in those last 10 or 15 minutes really could have gone a long way.
It could have done. There's an argument to say that this is the most competitive Premier League ever because of how quickly teams can jump up. But what I would say for Manchester United as well, a lot of the times they have to work hard to score goals. I'm not too sure how hard teams are having to work to actually score against Manchester United, and that's an issue as well.
And just to put a cap on this, this was an opportunity. Beat Palace, beat West Ham at home, that's down in and around the bottom 3. Then you play Wolves, and that's 3 in a row. And here they are on the back foot again, getting a draw.
A couple hours ago, before we knew the personality of this match, I think it was you, Danny, that said, if they don't, at home, against the 18th place team, get all 3 points here, it's a bad outing. And it's one aside after it's tied at 1 apiece.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long, and for even more Premier League content from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.